Most electric VTOL, vertical takeoff and landing, companies are talking about air taxis and commercial transportation. Air is pursuing that market too, but it started with a different vision, a two-seat electric VTOL designed for personal flying. So at Oshkosh, I asked Air's marketing manager and CEO what this aircraft might offer a pilot like me, someone who flies mostly for fun. Could this eventually become the electric version of the $100 hamburger airplane?
Well, Chris, it's not really the $100 hamburger anymore. As you know, that $100 hamburger has slowly gone from $100 to $200 and maybe even to $500 in many cases. What we're doing here at Air, we're building a fully electric aircraft that has vertical takeoff and landing capability. The aircraft, in terms of maintenance, it's very simple. Electric really gives us many benefits there. There aren't any tilt motor mechanisms. There isn't, any lifting motors, and then you have your pushing motors. You just have 8 fixed motors that are always in the same position.
Air believes the appeal goes beyond lower operating costs. The company sees electric propulsion and computerized flight controls as an opportunity to rethink what a personal aircraft can be.
So we started from the personal market. We think that the personal market is huge. Aviation generally was born with automotive, sort of at the same time. So, Henry Ford and the Wright brothers started sort of together. And aviation took a turn to complexity. And we think you don't have to do complexity. You can do simplicity. And we think that electric aviation brought or came with a promise, a fly-by-wire. We have a patented fly-by-intent, which have an envelope protection. So if you're vertical and you're electric, we think that it's an opportunity for her to have a product that millions of people in the US will want.
Millions of owners would be an enormous leap for personal aviation, but the company's basic argument is easy to understand. Remove the runway, reduce the noise, and make the aircraft much easier to operate. The Air One does not use tilting motors or separate propulsion systems for hovering and cruising. Instead, the aircraft changes its attitude as it accelerates.
The way it works basically is when you are taking off in a hover, you'll get 100% of the lift from the motors and the aircraft will climb. And once you go from that hover to the cruise, the whole body of the aircraft will actually shift tilt downwards about 15 degrees. And that'll actually increase the speed of the aircraft up to about 85 knots or 115 if you're trying to go to a fast cruise. And when you're at that speed, the wings are starting to generate lift. So you're actually powering down as you increase speed.
The wings improve efficiency in forward flight, but this is not a conventional airplane once it gets moving. The motors remain an active part of both lift and control.
First of all, when you're flying, about 60% of the lift is generated from the wing. So you're always using those motors for lift as well. Those same motors are also your control. So you want to go right, the left motor is giving more power. If you want to go left, the right motor is giving more power. And when you want to go forward and accelerate, the back motor is giving more power and the aircraft dips forward and accelerates.
The pilot does not directly manage those individual motors. Air's flight control computers translate the pilot's commands into the thrust changes needed to maneuver the aircraft.
We call it fly-by-intent, where the aircraft is constantly making sure that it's maintaining heading, maintaining its speed. Whenever you want to make an adjustment, you just take the stick and, if you want to go left, you pull it left. But when you release that stick, it's going to fly straight, hold its altitude, hold its direction.
As you look in the cockpit, there are no rudder pedals and nearly everything is controlled through a single joystick. The aircraft is intended to remain inside a protected flight envelope, so this is not a machine designed for traditional stick and rudder flying or aerobatics. For a recreational pilot, the cockpit may be one of the Air One's strongest selling points.
The cockpit is very different than a lot of aircrafts out there. Very aesthetic, very clean, very minimalistic. We're using Dynon Skyview HDX. All your battery status and your motor status right there. Underneath your leg, you have a clear canopy. You can actually see,
what you're landing on.
You can see what you're landing on, but you can also, that doesn't really exist in many aircraft where you can see straight underneath you. And having a panoramic canopy, you really feel like you're basically floating through the air or like on a magic carpet.
That forward seating position and nearly unobstructed view could make the Air One an incredible sightseeing platform. It also gives the pilot direct visibility of the landing areas during a vertical descent. And a multi-rotor aircraft depends on its motors not only for propulsion, but for control. That makes redundancy particularly important.
The aircraft has redundancy built into it at its heart, basically. You have 4 motor arms for those 4 points of lift, but in each arm you have 2 motors sandwiched, and those 2 motors, there's 2 there for redundancy. So in the event that one motor would go out for any reason, then that other motor would instantaneously balance it out. So as the pilot, you wouldn't really have much to do. The aircraft will already balance itself out. You will be notified with like a flashing light saying, land soon. but essentially all your flight controls are remaining the exact same. Same goes for the battery. So you have redundancy in the battery as well. You have 4 separate battery packs. So if in the unlikely event that a battery goes out, the aircraft remains the same, no control changes. You just land and wherever you can. And again, you can land vertically, so that's another benefit.
Air says the pilot should retain control as long as one motor remains available at each of the 4 lift points. For a more serious failure involving uncontrollable asymmetric lift, the aircraft will also have a whole aircraft ballistic parachute.
So to have a complete failure is unlikely, but in that scenario, there is a ballistic recovery chute on the aircraft.
The electric motors can deliver a large amount of power immediately.
So it's a 10,000-foot service ceiling. The aircraft can climb, it has a lot of power. It's about 770 horsepower. So it can do about 2,500 feet per minute.
Those are impressive proposed numbers, but the Air One's biggest limitation is the same one facing nearly every electric aircraft today: range.
Range is a problem with electrification, but we have to think of the bright side, the optimistic side. Range will grow. You know, the first Teslas drove, I think, less than 100 miles. We fly for about an hour, which is much more than most of our competitors, but much less than any regular aircraft that you see.
That expected 1-hour endurance means the Air One will not initially replace a conventional cross-country airplane. The company is targeting customers who value the flying experience more than the maximum range.
You know, practically I say that the guy that asks for the range is not my first customer. A lot of customers that are just want it because it's cool, because it's innovative, because it looks great. We think it's the most beautiful aircraft you'll see in Oshkosh.
To me, that sounds like the most honest description of the early market. This aircraft is aimed at the pilot who wants to fly locally, enjoy the view, and experience something completely different. Another very thoughtful capability is that Air is trying to address one of the least glamorous but most expensive parts of aircraft ownership: storage.
Yeah, so we're putting ownership experience, really the user experience, really in the front, and going all around. So what is it like to own one in terms of on your phone? You can see how the aircraft is doing on your phone when you're at home. Obviously, one of the things that you want to have the ability to do is to fold the wings back, either to put it inside your garage or take less space in your hangar, or put it on a trailer and just drive it somewhere else. And we want it to be seamless so someone to really feel like they can truly experience the freedom of flight and the freedom of it. It requires both the simplicity in getting out there and flying, and also the simplicity of while you're flying. So you can really just focus on the flying experience and not operating a machine. And that has been really at the forefront of everything that we've been doing over the years with the Air One. What you're seeing is a 2-seater, but the same exact platform, we have an unmanned version of it that instead of the 2 seats, it has a 70 cubic foot cargo bay. So on essentially the same electric platform, as we're clocking hours, both on the unmanned version, we're also benefiting our 2-seat light sport aircraft.
Air says it's already delivered cargo aircraft to customers. That side of the business can generate revenue and operating experience while development of the personal aircraft continues. Air believes higher production volume will eventually reduce the purchase price, although it's not yet announced what the final aircraft will cost.
The real answer is I don't know yet. We're going to be much lower than a Cessna 172, much lower, which is not very hard. And it will drop down dramatically with volume, and we're going to have some plans to support our first customers.
The Air One may also serve a market that has almost nothing to do with recreational ownership. Pilots entering the developing air taxi industry will need powered lift training and flight experience. Today, very few practical training aircraft exist in that category.
So if someone wants to be like in an advanced air mobility space, flying a larger eVTOL aircraft for commercial services, air taxi services, you got to get your powered lift hours. Now, there are many powered lift aircraft out there, and many of them are quite large and quite expensive to operate. We see this being kind of the entryway to learn, to get your powered lift rating, to get your powered lift hours. So if someone's looking for that career path into the air taxi world, then this is another option.
You train to fly a Boeing on a Cessna. We are the Cessnas of training for Jobies and Archers and so forth. And we are a stepping stone and the training program for them.
The precise powered lift training and certification pathway is still developing, but Air believes its aircraft could become an entry point for future commercial pilots. All of this still depends on Air proving that the production aircraft can meet its performance and safety goals.
We are actively doing flight testing.
So when would you meet the Mosaic standards?
We're aiming, hopefully in the next year or so, to reach those standards. And once we hit that standards, we get that light sport aircraft certification, we can start deliveries.
We were part of the standardization project of Mosaic, so we built it per what we thought would be the spec, and we are now adjusting things to start flight testing, and we will start to fly practically in 4 or 5 weeks.
Air is targeting customer deliveries in 2027. That schedule depends on completing flight testing, satisfying the applicable standards, and developing the training, maintenance, and insurance support owners will need. The Air One is not trying to be an electric replacement for every general aviation airplane. Its proposed endurance limits it primarily to local flying, and its final price is still unknown, and the aircraft must complete flight testing before Air can prove the performance, safety, and simplicity it is promising. But the concept is compelling. An aircraft that can take off vertically, fit into a garage, and let the pilot concentrate on the experience rather than managing the machinery could introduce an entirely different kind of recreational flying. Air invited me to come back and experience the aircraft when it's ready. I plan to take them up on that offer, and I can't wait. I have more Oshkosh 2026 content coming, and make sure you subscribe so you can capture my future pilot stories as well. Thanks for watching.